Humble bragging is not just alive and well, it's flourishing, especially with the advent of social media. And it's kind of funny how it started off bad enough on the personal social media sites, and now it's kind of even gotten worse on the professional networking sites. And I myself am guilty of riding that train, although I do try to resist the temptation as much as possible, where we waste no time in advertising our titles. You know, where we went to school, what kind of degree we have, what our job title is or where we work and all those things. And the reason we do that is because it feels good to be recognized as the type of person that our society traditionally looks up to and respects. Somebody who's hardworking, ambitious, and successful, you name it. And also to an extent because we just want to be better than everybody else. We're just kind of egotistical in that way. But there are many shortfalls with this form of showing off, one of which is arrogance, which I have talked about before at length. But setting that aside, it's also based off of an inaccurate assumption, which is that your title holistically proves that you are that great person I just described. So if you have the MBA or the Ivy League degree, or if you're the executive director of something, then you've made it, and enough said about your character. But the reason why that's wrong is because you're not answering, let alone asking, three very important questions. Number one, how did you earn that title in the first place? How did you get there? Was it because you were very hardworking and ambitious and had to overcome a lot of adversity and disadvantages to achieve that? Or was it because you just got lucky? Because somebody gave you a free handout, or you were at the right place at the right time, or something like that. So did you get into the Ivy League because you worked really hard in school and got really good grades and excelled at something outside of school? Or was it because your parents just knew somebody and pulled some strings to get you in? The former is worthy of a lot more respect than the latter, at least in my opinion. Number two, how good of a job did you do or are you doing with that title and when you were earning it? Did you get it and then do something good with it? Or did you get it and just call it a day? The former is worth a lot more than the latter, in my opinion. So that's kind of the difference between being a CEO and taking the company in the right direction, growing it, taking care of the employees, and giving back to the community versus just collecting a paycheck and driving the company into bankruptcy. You can't really be proud of yourself if you fall into the latter category. And number three, what kind of a person are you outside of just that title? Do you have a personality? Do you have other skills and abilities? And is there more to you? Or are you just kind of a one-trick pony? And for me personally, I would much rather hang out with someone who's fun to hang out with and is a nice person and is a humble person at the end of the day than someone who just has an impressive resume but is just kind of a douchebag. So instead of going about it that way, if you've identified the type of person that you want to be, then you have to put the work in to achieve that and actually become that person, rather than hoping that a title is going to do all that work for you. So I think a great example of this would be the U.S. Army's Ranger School, which is purported to be some of the toughest military training out there. So it's 60 days of pure hell that if you pass, then you get a little piece of Velcro that says Ranger on it that you can wear on the left side of your uniform. And it gets you a lot of respect within that circle, within the military. And so when I was in the Army, I naturally gravitated towards that. And I thought that if I got the tab, then I would have made it. I would have been a Ranger and I would have gotten a lot of respect. And that's what mattered the most. But as I progressed through my career and I talked to more people and I learned more about it, I realized I was wrong. In order to pass Ranger School, you have to train so hard before you even get there. You have to ruck for miles on end and be in extreme physical condition, learn how to survive on very little sustenance and very little sleep and still function mentally if you want to make it past the first few days, so that by the time you even get there on day one, you already are the type of person that's worthy of wearing the Ranger tab. Whereas if you had just focused on getting the tab, you probably wouldn't survive longer than a week. And at the same time, don't let people's titles intimidate you. So if ever somebody shows off about where they've gone to school or what they do for a living or something like that, you can respond with, "That's great and good for you, but remember, how did you get there? How good of a job are you doing? And what else is there to your personality?" Because like I've said a dozen times before, two people can experience the same thing and still turn out differently at the end of it. It's not at all the definitive measure of someone's character what their title is. It tells you very little, if anything at all, about who someone is. So if this was insightful for you, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.